Welcome to another episode of the Transforming Lives Spinal podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sharmin Prince.
And I'm your other host, Mitzi Dadoon. And we have a guest with us today, Jordan Power, who we will introduce more after we do our breathing.
Excellent. So just join us for a brief breathing and grounding exercise by taking a deep breath in through your nose. Hold that breath, feel it, and let it go through your mouth. Again, another deep inhale and exhale. In and out. And on this inhale, just hold it for a moment and think of the things that serve you today. And as you exhale, let go of everything that didn't serve you. And take the final deep inhale and let it go. Thank you for taking the time to breathe with us so that we can be grounded and centered. And as Missy introduced her guest, Jordan Power, Jordan left us a very short bio, but trust me, there is more to him than that. Jordan is an LGBTQ plus artist, songwriter, an entrepreneur whose life story reads like a memoir of survival, transformation, and self-discovery. Jordan, welcome to the Transforming Lives Panel podcast.
Thanks for having me on. I love starting a podcast with some breathing. That was lovely.
Um, how did you get from being a victim, experiencing your transformation, and now have this ability to articulate and just not share energetically?
Yeah, I would say the first thing I did was I invested in people that taught me. I think so often we're scared to pay for people's time, pay for experts, let's say. I had two spiritual healers, a reality creation coach, a psychedelic facilitator. I probably watch 20 to 30 hours a week of YouTube content because I am a bit of a nerd and I don't really watch television a lot. So I've invested in learning this stuff, and it's iterative, right? Because like in the beginning I was very much into like law of attraction, and I kind of was in that world, and then I didn't really think that it was really serving me in a way. And then you learn about manifestation, but if you have a dysregulated nervous system, there's no way you can manifest anything. So then I had to go and do energetic healing and some spinal energetics to kind of some breath work to kind of heal that. And it's just been iterative, but in terms of synchronicities in the past of the universe, everything's fallen on my lap in this beautiful way. For as you know, I found out about this person's like, well, you got to do this, and I do it. I got to try this psychedelic. I've just been really focused, and since moving to America about 7 months ago, I have spent a lot of time in solitude, and I realized that a lot of people were draining my energy. And I think there's a lot of utility in going through periods in your life where you're just not that social, where you realize that other people are not serving you, they're not helping you evolve. And when I first moved here, I didn't know a lot of people, so I spent a lot of time alone. And so for the first probably 2.5 months, I was quite alone. But I was with these healers, and I was with YouTube, and I was learning. And I've just been someone who's not really ever satisfied until I keep going and learning. And it's not like I'm ever going to stop learning. But when I was healing myself on a psychological level, I was also healing myself on a physical level, teaching myself about filtering my water and getting certain things out of my house and taking certain supplements. So being a nerd and being a hard worker has served me well. And But this latest iteration of the past few months, it's led me to peace and calm. And, people see me on podcasts or they see me on TikTok doing these videos and stuff. And because I am a Virgo and we like to do a million things, I'm kind of like a lot of different personalities to people. But I think if you meet me in real life, not listening to my music or not seeing my comedy videos on TikTok, you would find a person who's a lot more chill and calm than their persona. And so my default state and our default state is peace and calmness. And I think it's really important for people to understand that low vibration emotions are actually not real. Fear, guilt, shame, they don't serve you in any way. And we feed them all day long. And when you stop feeding them, you stop feeding those thoughts, you stop feeding the toxic people that are bringing those things into your life, your whole reality starts to shift and you only get reflected back to you in the universe what you are inside. And that's why I think life is such a beautiful consciousness simulator because it's not on other people anymore. It's on us that we can go away from certain people, but really it's an internal game. And I've come to that realization over the past little while that, you know, it's lonely in a way, but it's an extreme accountability, and I really welcome it.
Were you at all scared of trying the different psychedelics and stuff? Because I mean, there's so many out there, and I'm sure some people have good experiences and some people have bad experiences. Like, can you kind of talk about that aspect of it?
I think in the beginning, when I tried mushrooms with my friends, probably 10 years ago, it was just for hijinks, just to get high, have some fun. It's like drinking. There was no thought or intention or integration behind it. Until I started actually using them like medicine, you approach them really differently. But for me, it all happened in the way it had to happen because you start with the low dose of mushrooms, then you go with the higher dose of mushrooms, then you realize, oh my God, that was kind of terrifying, but also like I can survive it, and as long as I don't fight it and I lean into it, it's such a beautiful process. Then that led me to try LSD. Then that led me to try ketamine therapy, and as I kept kind of graduating, I got to the point where I felt not just because of the sequences of my life, but also because I had done these, I felt somewhat indestructible. And also, when you don't really have a fear of death anymore, because you realize that it's just a passing to something we've done many times over and over, um, you're able to let go and you're able to connect with entities or a higher self or a higher vibration very easily. If you fight psychedelics, especially at higher doses, it will simply just reveal to you how much fear you're still holding on a low vibration level. And I don't really have that anymore. And so for me, the Bufo, which is technically the highest, most powerful psychedelic in the world, um, it did feel like I was dying. I was no longer
Mm.
existing. I was nothing, but it was also the most beautiful moment probably of my life. I had melted into oneness. I had melted into the universe. I had melted into all of us. And I had just felt this like peace in my heart. And when I came back down from doing it after crying and thrashing and waking up with the facilitator, the first thing that I said to him was, oh my God, I am the creator of my reality. This is a matrix simulation. And I started crying because I said, I can't believe what I put myself through when I
Mm.
didn't know how any of this worked. And he asked the emotion that I was feeling, and I said, shame. I feel like guilt. I feel like I let people into my life that treated me in terrible ways when I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how any of this worked. And but then I just let the go with self-compassion because it's like, well, if you don't know better, then you don't know what you're doing. And now that I would say I'm a higher consciousness and moving towards more of an enlightened perspective, I have no fear of not only death, but any sort of psychedelic.
You are on a journey, and I think I saw somewhere you're building a whole holistic movement. Tell us about that.
So when I started this and when I initially had tried DMT, I had seen the parallel reality in which my music career unfolded. I saw the concert, I saw the branding, I saw the sacred geometry, I saw the girls with the flower crowns. But then I sort of thought like, I don't want to just make music and get rich. It has to also kind of tie into everything that happened to me in life. And the greatest happiness comes from service. So it's great to make songs that people can relate to. And, I get great feedbacks on my songs and they're on the radio and that's all great, but that's all ego. At the end of the day, it has to be tied to something greater. And I was sort of thinking like, how can I take everything that's happened to me and help people? And so outside of the music, I wanted to kind of like, when artists they have merch or things they sell on their websites, I can't sell a microplastic filled hoodie, which has toxic
Hmm.
substances in it, to a young kid who might have ulcerative colitis and have that have a deleterious effect on their disease. I couldn't sit with that because I know how microplastics and hormones and things in our beauty products had affected my health. And so when I say I want to build a holistic movement, I think in tandem with the music, the merch, or that I sell either at a concert or on my website eventually, I want it to be things that heal people physically. And then the idea would be the concert and the movement could help people on a mental level. And so that'd be everything from shower filters, water filters, red light therapy, supplements, but supplements that were high quality, t-shirts, but it would be organic cotton, and things like that, where I could live with myself if someone was buying something from me, that it also was healing them in a way, rather than just selling, your typical hats and your typical bags and stuff that might just be filled with a lot of chemicals and things that are, legal in America but banned in Europe.
Great. You answered my follow-up question, but now I'm going to ask you, for someone listening to you now who feels that something is missing from their lives despite their external success, like you experience, how would you coach them? What would be the first step you would recommend they take to begin listening to their own forgotten dream, like you did with your music, and start on their transformational journey?
I would say to ask yourself two questions. The first question is, what is my greatest joy? What would I do if money wasn't a factor? For me, that's music. And secondly, if your parents are around, I would ask them what you were passionate about when you were younger, up to probably age 7, because a lot of the evidence shows that we have these young kids, and there's really interesting studies at the University of Virginia where a young kid will go to their parents and they'll talk about a past life they had and something happened to them. And then the parents will go and hire this guy and he'll check it out. And it might be a cold case. It might be, there was a murder or something, or in a past life they were this. So if you're able to ask yourself that question, maybe in deep meditation, and then to also ask your parents, what dream did I give up? What thing did I keep talking to you about when I was younger? And then, sometimes we take careers just for money, or we take them because they fall in our lap. And that would be how you'd find the thing. The second I would do after that is regulate your nervous system. That includes disconnect from trauma-based news, social media, things that poke at your insecurities and make you realize that you're not powerful as you are, and get into a place of peace and ease. And then at that point, it really becomes a game of rewriting your subconscious programming and rewriting the stories that you've told yourself, and understanding that circumstances don't matter. Vera Wang didn't design a dress till she was 40. It doesn't really matter at this point. You can make anything happen. And when you start to understand how reality works and how it's created, you'll feel limitless and you'll feel like it's in the realm of possibilities. And you may have to go through a period like I did where when you're trying to become a new person, when you're trying to shift your state of being and move into a parallel reality, you may have to disconnect from people in your life that are holding you back in the old version of you. And they may be doing it in ways you don't even realize. Your unconscious might be doing it. That's why, the monks go and they meditate and they isolate, because there's something really beautiful about sitting with yourself. And some people have a lot of like trouble with that, like they always need to be in a relationship or their social calendar is filled every day of the week, and largely that's because it's difficult for them to sit with themselves. And I'm really grateful for all the pain and nightmares I went through in my life, because if I didn't go through those things, I wouldn't know so deeply who I am and what I don't want, and I wouldn't be prepared to go through this next journey, which is going touring the world and singing for people and helping to teach them about spirituality and metaphysics and how to heal themselves physically. It all aligned perfectly. At 22, I wouldn't have breakup songs to write about, but now I've got lots of breakup songs to write about, and so I wouldn't have anything to draw from. But when I write specific songs, I can go, oh, it's because that song's about being in the hospital, or that song's about my dad dying, or these are experiences I have. And so I'm turning that pain into purpose. And it's so intrinsically motivating because you connect with people and you help them, but I'm also doing the thing I love the most. And I do think that everybody has a specific purpose on earth. It may not be touring the world, but it may being a caretaker. It may be helping people who are sick. It may be teaching them about certain things. It may be small, it may be large. I don't know. But when you connect with your higher self in deep meditation or through psychedelics, it will appear to you.
One question, I take it the change in your last name was part of that rebirth process?
Yeah, so well, Jordan Whalen is my birth name, and I had that name for a really long time. And then my friend and I had a podcast when I was 29. It was called Shame on You, and initially we started the podcast because it was a show where we tried to practice radical self-disclosure to eliminate the residual shame we had about being gay. So the idea behind it is like, if society teaches you to hate yourself in so many different ways, if we just got on a mic and we were brutally honest about our sex lives and what was going on with us, then we would be able to show other gay men or gay women that it's okay to be yourself, and it's okay to kind of go, if we were going a mile, they could go a foot. And that podcast started just me interviewing a lover in my basement with my friend drunk, quickly escalated from 400 listeners to 25,000 in about, I don't know, 6 months. And we were on tour. And so eventually Jordan Power just kind of became the entertainment name. And so I legally changed my name to that because it got to the point where 90% of people kind of knew me as that. And so that's kind of my legal name now, and obviously my music name. So it's kind of weird because it's like the stage name is the legal name, and now the old name is the previous name. And when I do interviews for my marketing firm, you can find them on YouTube. They're under Jordan Whalen. It's me talking about music. And so I'm kind of like two different people, where one day I'm the marketing legal guy, and now related to entertainment and music, I'm Jordan Power.
Excellent. As I'll ask rapid fire questions.
I'm
But
ready.
but before we get into that, is there anything you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Well, if they want to listen to my music, Jordan Power on all streaming platforms. Some of it's on YouTube too, but Spotify, Apple, and whatnot. And I think a lot of the things that I just want to kind of continue to reiterate with people is it's just take some time to yourself, take some time to understand how all your pain serves you, and take some time to detach from victimhood as best as you can, and try to see what's happened to you in life, how it served you, and try to see the good in it. And as you do that, what will manifest and change in front of you will be different, and you can kind of create a new path in front of you. But largely, I would tell people just to kind of invest in this stuff to understand that perhaps swiping through cat videos on TikTok or Instagram isn't making them feel the greatest. And there's a beautiful world out there that you can create for yourself. And I'm a real testament to that.
Okay, thank you. Biggest inspiration, musical or otherwise?
I don't know. I don't really like a specific person that I'm inspired by.
Anything.
Um, Actually, I'm really inspired by my mom, I would say. I would say that, my mom had really difficult circumstances growing up. She was able to pull herself out of that and become a doctor and have three kids. And I've seen her go through some really difficult things in life. So, yeah, I would say my mom.
Most played song on your Spotify Wrapped.
Oh, I think it's Hosier Too Sweet.
Coffee or tea?
Iced coffee.
One word to describe your life before Bali.
Nightmare.
And one word to describe your life after.
Serenity.
An essential item you pack for travel.
Water filter.
Your go-to form of self-care.
Breathwork. Breathwork,
Okay.
yeah.
Podcast or playlist?
It's really difficult for someone like me. I will say podcast.
Your dream collaborator, living or past?
Michael Jackson.
Cardboard breach.
Oh, you just want to know
Brilliant,
about that?
brilliant or bunkers?
I said depends who you ask, right? I would say brilliant.
Biggest lesson from your podcast days?
Um, I think that promiscuity is overrated.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
And finally, the mission is to help others transform. What's the opposite of transformation?
Status quo.
Thank you so much, Jordan.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Our listeners are going to get some really cool insights to this, and I'm sure they will be listening to your music and your podcast. And thank you so much for sharing some time with us and giving us some insight into finding peace and serenity.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate having me on.
Thank you.